Hello everyone, welcome to Samiksha Academy. Few days back, a report released by Election Commission tells us some information about the recent trends with respect to electoral funding. Right? If you see the heading here, now the political funding through electoral trust, that itself might tells you something. That is, now the trend is more going towards electoral trust. I think you also know the reason. If you see, in the month of Feb 2024, Supreme Court of India made the electoral bond scheme unconstitutional, right? The reason being because this scheme is being more misused than being used. Though when the scheme was introduced, people consider it for it's a kind of electoral reform, but because of the heavy misuse, eventually Supreme Court has to make it unconstitutional. With that reason, if you see the newspaper clipping of the day, after electoral bond ban, funding through trust route increasing, right? Again, but first just see few trends here. Here I am just underlining few points. One is about this prudent. Next is about this Jai Bharat Electoral Trust. Next this Triumph Electoral Trust, right? We just got some data here. These electoral trusts pre Supreme Court judgment, post Supreme Court judgment, if you see, there is a drastic increase in funding to these electoral trusts. So now it is raising us the fundamental question, what exactly this electoral trust, right? So is it same as like electoral bond or is it more trustworthy really? This is what we have to see. First, have a look at the electoral bond mechanism. I think most of you might know it. Just for a glancing, just see here how electoral bond mechanism operates. Either individual or company, they have to approach State Bank of India New Delhi branch there anonymously. So it became the problem eventually. Without disclosing their name, like to whom they are donating, they can donate to any political party, and eventually political party within specified amount of time, it can redeem the amount. But organizations like Common Cause and Association for Democratic Reforms argued that though political parties might not know who donated them, but the data will be with SBI. The party in power may get access to that by using their influence. So, to prove their point, they argued in the recent past, whoever donated to opposition parties against whom ED raids happened, right? So at the same time, they showed that if you see the overall amount being donated to political parties, most of them, more than 60% of the amount is more than 1 crore. So this scheme is not for it is mostly like influencing the corporates to get the contracts. So this is, so eventually Supreme Court has to say that no, this scheme, because this kind of anonymity will not work, eventually it has to be made as unconstitutional and void. So now the trend started with this electoral trust. What is this electoral trust? Why it is more transparent comparing with electoral bond? See here, point number 1. Electoral trust will be set up by companies, right? The major purpose is to distribute the contributions received, like whatever contributions companies will be sending to the trust, that will be eventually transferred to concerned political parties. That is the purpose for which electoral trust will be formed, right? So eventually in the year 2013 we came up with this eligibility, that means who can form the trust. So the condition here is those companies that got registered under section 125 of the Companies Act only will be eligible to form an electoral trust. So this is the crux of the matter. So that means to form an electoral trust, it must be registered under the Companies Act, that too under section 25. Whatever criteria that is mentioned within this section, that criteria has to be fulfilled, right? Next, see here. So this is how this mechanism works. What is the mechanism here? Either individuals or company, they can donate to a particular trust. In this case here I have shown you that Prudent, Triumph, right? So Jai Bharat Electoral Trust, there are different types of electoral trusts. Like anyone can register with the company and form an electoral trust. Companies will be donating to the electoral trust, right? So either individual or company will be donating to the electoral trust. Here the names will be registered, right? That means who are the people donating, their names will be known, right? This is the first important point. That's what happened. See here, if you want to see this, Just have a look at this. Here, who donated to this Prudent? ArcelorMittal, right? Mata Projects, Maruti Suzuki, right? CESE, these all people donated to this Prudent Trust. In the similar fashion to this Triumph Electoral Trust, who donated? Chodamandalam Investment, right? CG Power Industrial, these people donated. That means now we will be knowing who donated and how much amount they donated. So that's the beauty of this electoral trust. Okay. And finally, another important aspect here is the electoral trust accounts are subjected to audit and there will be no anonymity here. That means the data will be disclosed. So that's why now electoral trusts are more transparent comparing with electoral bonds. However, there is a point here. If you clearly observe the trend, be it electoral trust or electoral bond, both of them mostly favoring the ruling parties. See, in the recently collected amount in the electoral trust also, more than 3/4 of the amount actually went to BJP. Rest went to Congress and rather to BRS and YSR Congress party. Understood. So that's a different case, but at least now we can see who donated how much. This much like positive thing we can expect, right? Though still it is favoring ruling party means you can understand, right? So that's all about the difference between electoral bond and electoral trust, right? So I hope you understand that. Okay, thank you.